Hey crew, it's Pitt, and I'm back with a little something different. I'm going to start this one off with something different. I'm going to ask y'all for prayers for me and my family this week. It's going to be a tough one. We're going to get into that, but it's going to be a difficult week. This is going to ramble a bit, and it's me talking. It's going to be a whole lot of rambling, so if you're not into that, peace be blessed. But my heart's been heavy for the last week or so. Last week, a good friend died, and he had a really long battle, and he was really strong about it. And then this week, yesterday was the anniversary of my mother-in-law's death, so that's always a sad time. But today we're losing two family members, and it's pretty tough. So I want to talk about grief, and I want to talk about how to fix the heaviness in your heart, because that's what I've got right now. It's a lot of heaviness in my heart, and the way that you fix that is you have to align it, right? Right now, the heaviness in my heart is the magnetics interplaying. We've talked about that before, and the way that it's interplaying is that my love is being pulled down into a deeper area. It's being pulled down into my sacral, into my solar plexus and my sacral area, because it's about survival, because there's been a lot of death, and I'm feeling very sad about it. And so my heart feels really heavy, and the way that you align that is to talk about it. And so we're going to talk about it. Last week, one of the best men I knew passed away. Roy Osteen was a really good man. He was a solid man. He was a dependable man. He was a man that you could trust to make the right choice. Right? And there's not very many people out there like that. But beyond that, he was a really good friend of mine, because he married into the family the same way that I did. We shared my wife's family. But he got really sick not long after they got together, and it was right after I got injured, and we bonded a lot because I live in pain, I live in a lot of pain, and I'm okay with that most days. I really am. But he's one of the few people on the planet that I know can actually commiserate with that. He's one of the few people on the planet I know knew what it's like to want to go home. Really want to. Not in a self-harm kind of way, because he was also one of the strongest men I've ever met for that, because he sat there with the peace on his side through a very long battle that was very drawn out. It was very tough. And he inspired me with that battle, because while our battles aren't exactly the same, we share a lot of the same fights. And so for him to not take the option when the option was there gives me strength for not taking the option. You know what I mean? Because that's no longer an option. I'm in a different way now, and it's really tough to sometimes it's really tough to not, right? Especially on the bad days. The good days are bad enough, but the bad days, man. But then he passed away finally. And I say finally because he's so much better off now than he was, y'all. It was a really rough fight, and he was a really strong man. But that was last week. And then this week, yesterday was the 7-year anniversary of my mother-in-law passing. And she was a great woman, and I loved her greatly. And she was loved greatly by everyone who knew her. And it's been a long time. 7 years is a long time. That's a whole cycle. But we're beginning a new cycle, and there seems to be a lot of grief coming. And so that brings me to the last part, and the part I asked y'all to really pray about, because today, this afternoon, 2 of my dogs are getting put down. And I know some people are like, it's not a big deal, but these dogs have been a part of our life for a long time. My mama dog, Dee Dee, is almost 16, and she got diagnosed with a severe case of heartworms 6 years ago. She's been on her last leg for 6 years, and she's put up a really tough fight, but now she is finally beginning to lose it, and before it gets too bad, she's going to go home today. her son from her first litter, when she was really too young to have him, was only maybe a year and a half behind her, and he was in a car wreck when he was a puppy, and he's never been quite right, and now he's got seizure problems, and he's got a lot of behavioral problems starting to manifest. He's losing his ability to not be aggressive, so the stress that would be put on him by losing his mom would be too much for him. And I say that with a heavy heart, because these dogs, he's been here for 14, maybe 15 years, and she's been here for 15, maybe 16 years. It's hard to pinpoint, but my children's almost their entire life has been with these dogs, and it's tough, but they get to go home today and they get to quit fighting the fight. And I wanted to get on here and express this, because this is real emotion, and this is how you really deal with grief, is by talking about things, right? And to relieve the heaviness in your heart, what you have to do is align your magnetics towards your throat, and then just let it come out, and just talk about it and let it leak a little bit, because that was what happens sometimes too, because sometimes we just leak, and that's just how it works. And it's okay. It's okay to grieve. It's okay to grieve pets and people that aren't necessarily the closest to you. Or it's okay to grieve somebody who died 7 years ago. It's okay. Like, you should never sit in your grief, and you should never ruminate on it and just brew it and let it ferment, right? You should never do that. But you should definitely feel it. And when you do feel it, you should let it get out. Don't push it down. Don't be like, I'm too tough for this. You should let it leak out. You should do that. You should talk about it to somebody. I'm talking about it to you. I'm talking about it with my wife. I talk about it with my kids. But I wanted to share this example of somebody who's really hurting today. And I wanted to go to my crew and be like, hey, could y'all say a prayer for us this week? Because today's going to be a tough one. It really is. It's going to be tougher for my wife than for me, but it's going to be tough for me too. And I really would appreciate it if y'all could give us a little bit of extra help in that. I'm going to go ahead and start wrapping this up, but I really did want to I wanted to touch base with y'all. I don't know where we're going. I tried the Reddit thing, but there's a lot of stuff in them Reddit threads that's just made up, and I don't feel like weeding through that. So anyway, to the crew, thanks for hanging out. I appreciate every single minute that you are here with me, and I am praying for you every single day. I do. I pray for y'all every single day. And today I'm asking for some prayers. I'm asking for some prayers this week. Y'all help us out. Until next time, this has been Pittstake. I love you. I'm all messed up, y'all. Until next time, I love you. You're whole, complete, and perfect just the way that you are. And this has been Pittstake. Peace.